welcome. We are Nat and Kahlia and Mickan, and today we want to share with you the journey that we have been on in our lives, from being married young to facing trials and tribulations together, and through blood, sweat and tears, building what we now have today, a multi-million-dollar portfolio.
Yeah, so a little bit about where we live. We live on a cattle station in northwest Queensland, north of a little town called Hughenden. We live 3 hours from Hughenden, that's our closest town. Most people would say that's fairly remote. We've built up this property here with a lot of our own capital. We got married, like Kahlia said, we got married young, and Kahlia was 19. I was 23, and we moved here straight after we got married. And we built our lives here. We've sort of never known anything other than living here on this place. I grew up on another cattle property, and this property that we're on has been in the family for about 40 odd years. And when I grew up, I said that I was always gonna live here, and a lot of people didn't believe me, but it was always a dream of mine to live here. When we moved here, we had cattle here already, so I'd already had cattle here, was running cattle on this place, and nobody lived here before us, not in recent times anyway. And so we moved here, and I also had a earth moving business that I had started before we were married, so we continued with that, and so we built that up over the next few years. So we got married in 2011, and then that was the big drought hit then in 2013, and that lasted for many years, and that knocked everyone around, including us. And trouble was with us at the time is we didn't have a lot of cattle to start with, and when we started to lose cattle through the drought, it took a big toll on us, because we didn't have many stock to start with, so we couldn't sort of soak up the losses like other established people could. And so we branched into the earth moving side of things, just so that we could survive. And that was what kept us afloat, was the earth moving. But then eventually, as the drought wore on over the next few years, we come to realise that because the line of work I was in with the earth moving, it was reliant on other property owners in the district. And when they started to feel the effects deeper over the next few years because of the drought, they started to stop spending the money, which then flowed on to us not getting as much work. So that was when we started to really realise that this industry that we're in, and what I mean by industry, the cattle industry as a whole, that we were reliant on, not just because of ourselves, but everyone around us. We were reliant on them to have good times so that they could have the money to spend on the earth moving, and that started to dry up. So that was when we started to realise that we had to get away from what we termed weather-dependent income. And so that took us down the journey that we've been on the last few years of property investing. Then we started to get into cryptocurrencies. We got into shares, and a whole range of things that were not weather dependent. So do you want to talk a bit more about some of our things we've got going on?
Yeah, so I guess what we found is that when we realised that we couldn't rely solely on our livestock and our earth moving, that's when we knew we had to start to branch into other avenues. But we knew nothing about what was out there. So we just started trying to educate ourselves and trying to get an understanding of figures and, of terminologies. Like we started right at rock bottom, and we slowly built ourselves up. So we slowly got into different things. For instance, like our e-commerce, Middle of Nowhere Creations, which has been our gourmet preserves business. So we started that one in 2016, and we built it up from the ground up. And so same story, slowly but surely we learnt more about the e-commerce industry, about dealing with people, with customers, about going online, all those sorts of things, and we built that up to be another income. And then in the meantime, we were also looking at other strategies, the likes of investing into properties that Nat's spoken of, so our houses, and our industrial sheds. So we started to listen to podcasts, we started to read books, and we started to gain a better understanding on how to invest and how to diversify. And so it feels like as though we were bumbling along on this bit of a flat road for the first sort of, what would you say, sort of 6 years of our lives, I suppose, until all of a sudden we reached this point where all the dots lined up, everything fell into line, and it feels like as though we just went straight up, like on a vertical. We went straight up on this big peak, and so we dived right in. We got some finance from the bank, and we started to go and buy our properties. So we just bought a block for ourselves, which we use in one of our local towns just for our own business use, and then we started to buy our houses and our industrial blocks, and we just felt like as though we were once we bought the first property, it felt like as though we had a domino effect behind us, and we were on this roll. So that's what we did. We've got up to 4 houses now. We've got one industrial block with a shed on it, and it's got one of our self-storage facilities on it. And so so far, all 5 of those properties have been roaring successes. We've had no real issues with any of them, and they've been really good. And so I guess what we want to reiterate is the fact that we done the groundwork first. We put a lot of time into ourselves, our self-development, our own education, like personal education, and got ourselves to a point where we were confident and we had enough knowledge to weather whatever was thrown our way. And so then I guess that morphed then into what Nat was just saying about going into the crypto space. So same story. Once we started to invest in properties, we're like, well, once the diversification door was open, we wondered what was next. And so, of course, crypto was always, when you start to research these things, crypto is always one that pops up. And so we started to look into it, but of course, crypto is a very, very deep space, and anyone who jumps in first simply flounders. And so we were looking hard to try and get a better understanding of the industry, and we came across a course, an Australian-based course that we took on, and we did that, and that really opened our eyes. And so same story, we started with personal development before we jumped in, and in that course they taught us right from the get-go, like the very, very basics, and then they take you right up to an advanced stage. And so that was the same story with crypto. So we've gone and put more and more investments of time has gone on into crypto. We've just been to the crypto convention in Melbourne. This is November 2023, and we've just not long got home from the crypto convention, which was absolutely amazing. And so all these little things we feel like as though a lot of things have fallen into place, but at the same time we've also put a lot of effort in behind the scenes within ourselves and with our own personal education. So I really feel like as though it's vital to do the groundwork first.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just to further on that point about the crypto convention, so when we were there, we learnt about mining Bitcoin, which had always been on our minds about how do we go the next step into mining Bitcoin. And when we were at the convention, there was a number of different shops there, a number of different stalls that had mining equipment, and one of the talks that we attended, and suddenly everything just clicked and fell into place, and I said, oh, this is what we've been looking for. So it was all about how that when you have the mining machine, so you buy the mining machine and it gets sent to Europe to a host facility, and we pay the electricity bill on that machine, and then all the Bitcoin that machine mines comes directly back to us. So we did a little bit of research on that at the convention and realised that that was just that was exactly what we'd been looking for. So we signed up for that, and now we own a Bitcoin mining machine that like I said is that lives in Europe, and we don't see that machine or anything, and yeah, quite frankly, we don't want to, because we know very little about the machine. So as long as somebody is looking after it, and that's all we want to know about it. So yeah, so to go on a little bit deeper about what Kahlia was saying about our property investments. So we started with once we started with our houses, and we knew really little when we started with our first house, and it was we were fairly lucky, I guess you could say, but at the same time we had put in the lot of research and personal development. Both of us had read lots of books on property investing. We just listened to, and we continue to do so. We just listen to podcasts constantly every day, investment podcasts, all about crypto, property, anything that we can get our hands on, basically, that is going to benefit us in the long term. We are interested in studying that topic. Then so we started with houses. Then we got into we did a development on a piece of industrial land on one of our local towns. Our new industrial estate opened up. We bought a piece of we bought a new vacant block there. So we put a shed. We got a shed built on that, which is currently leased out. And then, in amongst all this, I had never really studied the industry of self-storage before. Had always driven past it on the road and knew what it was, but that was about it. Then one day, suddenly, I was just looking through a magazine on real estate, and I saw an advertisement for self-storage. And I don't know what happened, but something just clicked in my head at the time, and I just said that's the industry for me. And so ever since, I have been just you could say obsessed with self-storage. I've done just countless amount of hours studying, researching the topic. I study the self-storage industry all over the world, and so we went ahead with our local town, one of our local towns, and where we owned the new industrial block. That is a town of about 570 people. So we said we'll try and set up self-storage there, and if it works in a town of that few population, then it'll work anywhere. And so we went ahead with just containers, 20-foot shipping containers, and we put them in place, and they started to fill up immediately. So we knew that was going to be something that we could just scale and replicate all over the state, and then eventually we want to go all over Australia. And so we went ahead with Everyday Self-Storage. We designed that logo and that name, and we went ahead with the trust and everything. And so we've got two facilities now, and that's something that we're going to scale over the next few years, and as well as keeping our focus also on acquiring houses and more industrial land and industrial sheds and that sort of thing. So then, as you can see on the sign behind me, is Life on the Lick Run. So that was a YouTube channel that I started up about our that's our cattle property side of things. So feeding lick is what you do to cattle in areas that are nutrient deficient. So it's a case of feeding them supplements, and that supplement is called Lick, and so I same bit the same as with the self storage. That was sort of just a breakthrough thought of mine. I thought there's something out there that I can put on YouTube, and I thought about it for a while, and I decided that Feed and Lick would be what I would do. So that has grown. It's almost 2 years old, that channel now, and I continue to put out videos on that. And then recently we have just started a merchandise line for that YouTube channel, and so that has only just been released. Anybody who wants to go on Life on the Lick Run, the Life on the Lick Run website, they can purchase merchandise. So there's a lot of photos and stuff that we take while we're putting out the lick. A lot of that sort of stuff is on merchandise. And then also recently is we've just started a podcast, and that podcast is called Invest Out West, and that is it showcases where we invest in Western Queensland. You could say outback Australia. So that is something that we wanted to show those who don't know how you go about investing in inland Australia, because a lot of property investors only know about investing on the coast. So that's something that we're continuing to grow with a focus on property investing and crypto. So
I guess I just wanted to touch on just all these little things what we got going on. Everybody says to us, like, how do you keep all the balls in the air? What do? You must never sleep. You get all these sorts of different comments passed us all the time. But the thing that I always remind people of is that it starts with me. Like, it's my mindset. Well, I should say it's us. It starts with our mindset. It starts with our personal work that we do on ourselves. So, for example, people, when they look at us, they say, "Oh, I just want to go home and watch a movie." Well, there's no productivity with that. You have to put the time back into yourself. So we don't actually sit around. We don't watch movies. We're always watching. If we're watching something, it's all about personal development or business growth or something in the crypto space or something in the real estate space. Whatever it is, it's all about continual growth. And every book we read is all about personal development or business growth or something along them lines. Like, it's not time wasted, because at the end of the day, the thing that we can never ever get back is our own time. We can always recoup money, we can always recoup relationships and all those sorts of different things, but we can never recoup time. And so we need to be spending every moment that we can to the utmost potential. And so it comes back to our mindset, and it starts with a positive mindset. And building it up to a positive mindset. You just can't turn around today and say, tomorrow I'm going to have a positive mindset and all my dots are going to line up and we're going to be off. You have to build it up, and you have to be consistent with your mindset. So I guess that is my biggest encouragement point, is to consider your own mindset, and I mean, you can achieve so much that you can put your mind to, because it does start with your mindset. And so, like, all these little businesses that we've got going, the likes of the YouTube channel with the merchandise, the Invest Out West podcast, we both have a passion for both of these. Nat has a passion for sort of doing the nuts and bolts of the building it, whereas I like to do the nitty gritty behind the scenes. Like, I love designing all the merchandise and sort of building this business from base, building up to something that would be substantial. And same with our podcast, putting it out there, getting a bit of feedback, and just letting the whole system build upon itself. And so we both have passions and we both pull together. So I guess we want to wrap up and just inspire you to, if you have a little seed in your mind, then feed it and grow it, and it will become what your dreams are made of.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching. See you later.